Inside the royal castles, the royal family performs the traditional ritual of summoning heroes in the royal court, and our protagonist, Keisuke, is summoned here out of nowhere when he was just chilling on his way to the bookstore. He wonders where he is right now and finds two NPC-like characters before him, seemingly happy for summoning the hero successfully. Keisuke tries to understand the hell is going around here and notices there are some more heroes besides him. One looks like a thug, one seems like a nerd, and other one's visibly a total otaku who thinks of this situation as one of those isekai summonings. He's probably the fastest one to understand their situation. Keisuke finds it interesting now that he thinks of it that way. Then the heroes are called out by the queen, apologizing for the sudden summons, and introduces herself as the queen of this kingdom, Walujo. Our guy is naturally reminded he's also a guy, and her boobs are just enormous. Queen requests the heroes to save their country, as they are currently under the threat of the Demon Lord's constant attacks and losing streak. The thug-looking guy asks if she's crazy or something. Just because they have an ancient legend doesn't mean they can just summon people randomly and bug them with their issues. The nerd also has to get back to his part-time job soon, so they demand she send them back. But the queen claims they don't know how to reverse the summoning, and the only one who might is probably the Demon Lord who knows the magic from ancient times. So, all she could do now is request them to save their world somehow. Keisuke connected all the dots, as this queen here is asking them to deal with the Demon Lord, who might know their only way back to their world. But surprisingly, even though it's a serious situation, he's kind of pumped up for this, while others think their only choice left now is to take down this Demon Lord or whatever. Queen Walujo thanked them for understanding, and now wished to perform the summoning of sacred relics, which confuses the heroes and they ask about what is that. Queen gives sign to the priest behind her, and the priest comes forward to explain that sacred relics are basically divine tools given to every hero through summoning, and they receive three things: an item box with unlimited storage, an appraisal skill that can reveal any object or monster's information, and lastly, a unique divine weapon. Heroes guess these divine weapons will be their main abilities then, and the priests agree they are right about that. And more importantly, in this world, holy weapons manifest differently for each hero, mainly being a sword, a bow, shield, or so on, with each one holding a powerful special ability. But there's also a restriction for heroes. They can only wield one weapon in their whole life. Keisuke gets. That means they won't be able to use any locally obtained weapons either, and the otaku guy mentions if one were to draw a dud holy weapon, they would literally be useless. Now, the queen told the priest to start the ritual, and all of this fantasy spells thing made our boy all excited, as they saw some strange lights appearing above their heads. From those blinding lights, each one of 4 hours received a shining divine weapon, and once the process was over, the queen asked the heroes to introduce themselves along with the weapons they received. The thug guy started first, introducing himself as Yamada, with his divine weapon being the sword. The nerd guy's name was Ueda, with his weapon being the spear. The fatty otaku's name was Ida, with his weapon being the bow. He thinks it's best for him since he doesn't want to risk his life on the front line. And lastly, our protagonist introduced himself as Keisuke, with his weapon being a bag. Out of the other three heroes, Yamada and Ueda laughed at our boy, calling his weapon hilarious and asking how they are even supposed to make use of it in a fight. However, only the fatty Ida was kind to Keisuke, saying it's too soon to give up, and since all holy weapons are supposed to have special abilities, this bag could also be hiding an incredible powder. The priest informed everyone that, along with their holy weapons, they should have acquired the skills appraisal and item box as well. They can check them out. Keisuke thought he shouldn't judge his weapon by appearance, and just like the fatty said, it might have some amazing ability after all. He used appraisal on his bag and saw the abilities, which only mentioned that his bag simply connects to another dimension to store anything. With such a simple one-liner feature, not just Keisuke but other heroes were also silenced for a minute before Yamada laughed out loud at him again. They asked him what's even the point of his bag when they are already getting an item box, rendering our poor boy completely useless for the heroes' party. Keisuke was feeling his soul leaving his body, and the fatty kept trying to cheer him up, saying even appraisal and item box should be plenty for him to live comfortably here. But just like others said, he's useless. Keisuke thought so as well, knowing just the other three should be enough to form a party without him. He looked at the queen, who was wearing a pretentious smile while looking at our poor boy, and just sent the heroes to their quarters to rest for the day. Keisuke was in his room, sighing and thinking how he had lived a completely ordinary life as a student in his original world. And now here as well, his dream to live an out-of-ordinary life was shattered, killing all the thrill and excitement of the poor guy. He kept turning on the bed, feeling useless compared to the other heroes who laughed at his talent. But the fatty guy was really kind to him, which gave him a little courage, enough to keep going on. Just then, he heard a knock on his door, and when he went to check it out, There was a maid, here to inform him that the queen is requesting his presence in her private room to speak alone with him. Keisuke was caught off guard by such an invitation, and he started what could possibly happen with just the two of them in there. With his imagination running wild, he kept moving towards the queen's room, remembering how beautiful she is, especially her great figure. He ended up thinking, what if he gets lucky with her? But that will be just too convenient to be true. But on the positive side, he wonders if even magic and fantasy worlds can be true. Maybe, just maybe even something this crazy could happen as well. With some hope, he arrived at the queen's room, and upon entering, Keisuke was flabbergasted when he looked at the queen, sitting there wearing an exposing nightwear with a smile, claiming she had been waiting for him. Keisuke could literally see through her dress, and she's even prettier from this close. Right then, the queen invited him to come a little bit closer, and he can't take it anymore, with all his hormones running wild thinking of the limited possibilities of what could happen. As he approached her close enough, she began chanting a spell and activated the magic circle drawn on the floor. Keisuke was in the center, as he suddenly got hit by a paralyzing spell and fell down on the floor. He can't move his body no matter how hard he tries, while the queen simply laughed and stepped on him. Keisuke never expected this to happen, while the queen declared that since he drew a dud sacred weapon, he is no longer needed. He looks up to her as she sentences him to the 7th layer of the prison. Suddenly, Keisuke is teleported while he still can't move an inch of his body, and he falls down somewhere, wishing his mom would help him. But our poor guy simply became a useless toy thrown by the queen, and after some time he finds himself on a weird rocky surface. He looked around trying to figure out where he was, but as far eyes could see there were only limestones everywhere, as if he was in a cave. Thanks to the faint glow in the rocks, he was able to look around, but it won't change the fact he got abandoned and thrown in an unknown place, that too in a dangerous fantasy world. He damns his fate for always trolling with him like that, and one day, he swears he will make Queen Wallajo regret this as he punches the wall out of anger. However, he ends up hurting his own hand, after which he wonders what he should do now that he's stuck here. He doubts Wallajo would honestly tell him where he is right now, so he has no choice but to escape on his own. But that's just impossible, because all he got is appraisal and an item box, plus this bag. Only then he realized this bag was not supposed to be here, as he left this bag in his room. So how and why is it here? He thought maybe this bag will follow him anywhere, which is kinda handy. But he doesn't have any idea what he is supposed to do with this bag. And what does it even do? Right then, he hears some strange noises from behind, and when he looks there, he sees a serpent-like monster 10 times the size of his own body. Its deadly eyes sent chills down his spine, and he trembled in fear as he activated the appraisal to check out what this thing is called. Honestly, he used appraisal instinctively because that's the only thing he can do, and learns that it's a viper poison serpent, rank S, and it uses dissolving poison that can melt even rocks in an instant. Even though this is another world, Keisuke has an idea that S rank means this monster is extremely dangerous, while he just arrived here without any experience in combat and now is faced against a beast like this. He trips and falls down in fear. Then the viper releases poison at him. He thought it's all over for him, and he's going to melt from that poison and die here. In his last moments, he remembered his parents. Then suddenly he heard some voice, asking him if he wanted to store the poison. He shouts yes without even thinking, and the next moment his bag opened and absorbed all the poison from air inside it without leaving a single drop behind. Keisuke was stunned at what just happened, and the next thing he heard was the voice telling him the poison was stored. He finds it hard to process he's still alive. Then he hears the voice saying conditions for level up are met and his weapon leveled up. The viper again attacks him and Keisuke was clueless what to do now. The female voice of the bag asked him if he wanted to store the viper serpent, and he immediately replied with a yes, after which the whole viper serpent was sucked inside the bag over a few seconds, while Keisuke was holding the bag with both hands the whole time. Once the serpent was successfully stored within the bag, Keisuke was amazed, as it stored even something that huge. He received the alert serpent has been stored, and his holy weapon has leveled up. He doesn't know for sure what's happening, but it still feels amazing thanks to this sacred bag. It's completely different from an item box, since an item box can't store live things, and moreover this bag simply stores things with his commands. The next moment he gets the alert that he has acquired the skill to retrieve anything from the bag. At this point, Keisuke feels like got the magic pocket of some blue raccoon, so he decided to try to retrieve the skill and asked the bag to give him some water. To his surprise, he really got the water from the bag, which is just amazing and a total lifesaver given the dangerous place he's in right now. The next thing he asked for was a sweet bun, and finally, he had something to eat for the first time since he arrived in this world. Poor guy. The first thing he eats in another world is something from his previous world, but he can't be picky in this situation and just keeps on eating. He is frustrated and kept on eating continuously until his stomach was full, and even though they tasted like always, it was kind of different in some way as he tears up. He wipes his tears and feels grateful to be still alive, because he had no hope of surviving after being thrown down here. Once he calms down, he decides to get a lot more sweet buns from the bag. He's sure he won't run out of food and water as long as he gets this bag, and if he ever finds himself in danger, he will just absorb the enemy attacks and monsters in the bag. This way, he will eventually conquer this cave and make his way to the outside. Meanwhile, somewhere in the cave, a beast is feeling like things are getting a bit noisier than usual here after a long time. Our boy was unaware of the things he will come across in this place he believes to be a cave, as he just keeps on enjoying the bag. After some rest, he recalled his current situation. He didn't have to worry about food and water with this bag, and this place might not be troublesome if he keeps on using the bag to absorb the monsters. Out of curiosity, he tried to put his hand inside the bag to see if there was a bottom to this thing, but it just expands infinitely when he puts his hand in it, and when he looks at it normally, it looks like any other normal bag. Now, he decides to move on and explore this cave to find the exit. But even after walking for some time, he didn't find anything that looks any different than the rocks he didn't see 100 meters back. At this point, he's just walking around being completely clueless and desperately needs some sort of map like the games. He wonders if he can get a map from the bag, but when he tries getting one from it, the bag says insufficient funds, which leaves him all shocked, because he never knew he needed to have money to use this bag. But it doesn't make any sense how he was able to use it before. So he tries getting water and the bag says insufficient funds again. He wonders why he didn't even use money last time. Just then, something hits him. So he quickly checks his wallet and notices all the money from there has vanished. He ended up exhausting all the allowance he had been saving up to buy the new manga, but now it's all gone. He decided to experiment something and tried to get a 5 yen chocolate from the bag, and suddenly he saw the 5 yen coin vanished from front of his eyes, and he really received a 5 yen chocolate from the bag. It confirms that whatever he demands from the bag costs him a price, and this heavy realization reminds him of all the scoldings his sister gave him on thinking further before he acts. Now, he feels hopeless, as he thinks he might have blown up his last chance at survival. But then he realizes if this place is some sort of a dungeon, there could be some treasures around here as well. Thus, he continues his exploration of the cave but finds nothing for a while, until eventually he notices something which is not rock, but instead something like a person. His eyes lit up with hope and excitement as he ran towards the person, but once he reached close enough, he received another shock, as what he thought of as a person turned out to be skeletal remains of a person who seemed to have died here. Keisuke trembles in fear as he backs down and falls on the hips, getting a reality check of his situation the hard way. He holds his bag tightly, which strangely calms him down, making him wonder if it absorbs his fear and anxiety as well. That aside, he still got up to check the skeleton from up close, curious if he was one of those who were unable to get out of this cave. Then he noticed something shining from the bag placed beside the skeleton, probably the stuff that guy had on him. Keisuke was feeling hesitant, but he needed to try everything he could in this situation to survive. So he made up his mind and first apologized to the guy who died here, then took the bag and checked its contents. He finds out it has some utensils, empty water bottle, and lastly some money, which is the only good thing for him. But it still feels awful to realize this guy here died by starving to death here. He intended to bury him so as to at least pay respect to the dead, but then he got another idea and decided to store the skeleton in the bag. He figures if he could make it to the surface, maybe he can return this person's remains to his family or to his hometown. This way at least he could repay the dead guy even a little and give peace to his soul. Once he was done, the bag read out the contents he stored this time, stating he just stored the corpse of the dagger hero, the holy dagger, and 300,000 gold in currency of this world. He didn't expect this would be the corpse of another hero. While the bag leveled up and Keisuke also acquired the skills which once used to belong to the dagger hero. Keisuke didn't expect to absorb and learn skills as well with the bag. And more importantly, the fact that Guy was the dagger hero means that he may have been abandoned by the queen just like Keisuke is. He promises to definitely take this guy outside, and until then, he requests the dagger hero to lend him his strength. Keisuke activates the mapping skill, one of skills he got from dagger hero, and a map appears before him which makes things a lot easier. Keisuke can see the terrain far ahead of him from here, and with this, he might really be able to get out of here. But then he realized, if he could get out with a map, why didn't the dagger hero manage to escape if he had such a useful skill? He recalls his big sister's words to think ahead, and in this situation, Keisuke noticed that so far in this world, he had already come across a magic monster, so there might have been more of them, and the dagger hero must have failed to fight them alone. With this, he plans on making sure to use the bag properly from now on, and also save up the money by eating in a conservative manner. Although, after checking the money he got right now, if this gold were to be in his yen, that would be 3 million yen on him right now. He keeps waking further while eating buns to replenish stamina altogether, and even after he had been walking for a while, Keisuke finds it off that he hasn't run into any monsters since then. He thought maybe there weren't as many of them as he thought, as he kept walking further. He came across a bit of an open area compared to the path he walked so far, and while he was too engrossed in following the map, he didn't notice something was ahead of him, even though that thing called out to him. Only after Keisuke stumbled into it, he realized there's a huge monster right before his eyes. Keisuke was terrified since he was already this close to this wolf-like monster, and when he looked into its eyes, he thought this is bad, and he needed to do something about it quickly. He could tell this monster was way worse than the viper serpent, just by its gigantic size, and even the appraisal stated it's a SSS-ranked divine wolf, one of the mightiest divine beasts. He wondered what to do now, and the first instinct was to use the bag to store this divine beast in it. But the divine beast told him to just chill, and surprisingly enough, Keisuke even obeyed it and really stopped in his place. The divine beast was amazed that this human really stopped, as he said, and Keisuke was puzzled about what's happening here. The divine wolf asked him why he was not doing anything. Keisuke simply replied, because the wolf told him to wait, leaving the wolf impressed by his obedience. Keisuke mentions that his sister says that a lot too. Then the divine wolf calls him a bit strange because usually people either run away the moment they see her. Keisuke thought if by other people she meant people like the dagger hero. But he doesn't think Fenrir is dangerous at all, since she's not attacking him and even talking to him normally. He thought maybe this Fenrir is not a bad one after all. Then the Fenrir asked him about the thing he was eating earlier. Keisuke answers, "This is a sweet bun," and Fenrir was interested in trying out one of those, even drooling already while Keisuke holds on in his hand. He offers one to Fenrir, asking if she really wants to eat it. Fenrir was really obvious with her expression, and Keisuke just decided to give it to her. She requested him to come a little closer because she can't move from her spot for some reason. Keisuke walks towards her, noticing she really didn't move a step the whole time, then gives the sweet bun to her, although he's a bit afraid right now. Fenrir eats the sweet bun, and Keisuke was surprised it didn't eat him for real. Fenrir liked the taste of the sweet bun so much she shouted in excitement, and just the pressure was enough to make Keisuke fall back on the ground. The divine wolf was glowing, probably because she was happy, while Keisuke was lying with his legs over his head. Once he gets up, Fenrir tells him that the thing was too delicious, and she liked everything from its taste to strange aroma, which was nothing like she ate before. She desperately requested him to give her more of them, and Keisuke finds it hard to turn her down, thinking what if he denies and she eats him instead. He didn't want to risk it, so he just gave some kinds of sweets to Fenrir, and the wolf happily ate them while taking her sweet time. Keisuke was sitting idle waiting for her to finish, and once she did, she exclaimed at her excitement to think something this tasty exists in this world. Keisuke told her it doesn't exist in this world, which made her realize he is probably one of the summoned ones. Keisuke asked her more about it. Fenrir explained, "It's not that odd for people to be summoned from another world." Keisuke figures there might be more summoned ones besides them in that case, which leaves the question, did they were all also summoned and abandoned by Walujo or her royal family ancestors? For now, Fenrir tells him that she wants to eat more, and when he was a bit hesitant, she explains that she has been sealed here for hundreds of years. Since then, she has been starving here all this time. After hearing of sealed, Keisuke now knows why the Fenrir can't move, which means he doesn't really need to worry about being attacked. Then he thinks for a minute and has an idea. So he asks Fenrir why don't become his friend. Seeing a human offering a hand of friendship made her burst out in laughter, as she used to think of humans as mere scum, claiming she is the demon lord of arrogance, Superbaya. Keisuke was shocked when he found out that Fenrir is actually the demon lord, making the situation more strange. Right then, Superbia agrees to become friends with him, since she finds him interesting. Keisuke is relieved she didn't get mad and attacks him, but more importantly, he decided to straight up ask her if she is really the demon lord. She confirms that. Then Keisuke thinks about it, as the royal family said the demon lord is trying to take over the world. But here, she is. Sealed here? He asks her how long she has been sealed away here. Superbia replies she doesn't know the exact time. She can just say it's over centuries. Keisuke came to the conclusion that there are more than one demon lords after all. Then, Superbia urges him to get more sweet buns for her. Keisuke did just that and fed her for a while, after which he asked her what they should do now. She told him to just call her spell, and mentions that she is tired of this place as well, but unfortunately she can't leave due to the seal. Keisuke asked her the story behind her seal. She replied it was casted on her a long time ago, after the battle with a hero with a barrier magic. This barrier seal makes Keisuke wonder if she has some troubles against the heroes. Then she mentions that she tried breaking this seal over the years, but nothing worked out. Keisuke decides to try using appraisal on her and finds out she really has a barrier on her, which can never be destroyed by any physical or magical means. Keisuke wonders if this barrier really can't be broken. in which case it's worth trying out storing Spell inside the bag. Spell doesn't know what he is talking about. He explains to her how his bag works, and maybe they could store her inside the bag and he'll carry her to the surface together. Spelvia thought it's worth a try, so Keisuke started trying to store her inside the bag. Spell did feel something happening from the bag, and it looked like he'll be successful in it soon enough. But despite some time passing, Keisuke's bag went idle when he got exhausted, and he failed in storing her inside the bag. The barrier blocked the storing magic of the bag, leaving both of them disappointed. But he didn't want to give up and tried it one more time, but failed again and again and again, until he was almost on the brink of passing out. Seeing Keisuke like that made her worry about him, and she told him to stop, because if he tries to force more power, it'll cost his lifespan being burned due to overusage of magic. Keisuke sat down feeling damned, because he really wanted to help her. She told him to rest a bit and he agreed with her. He didn't think much and just walked up to her and sat down by her soft fur, making her feel someone's presence after a long time, while she also tried not to show it on her face. Spelvia then asked him, why is he going so far for her? To which he replied because they are friends. She mentioned, but they just met a short while ago. Keisuke pointed out his pain is nothing compared to hers. He was abandoned in this cave, alone, lonely, and despaired. So that's why for Spelvia, who has suffered a lot more than him, he wants to help her out and can't just leave her be in this place. Spelvia asked him why he was abandoned, what happened to him. Keisuke let her know it's an awful story, and just remembering it makes him mad again. He told her everything that had happened since he was summoned here, and after listening to his story, Spelvia asked him if he encountered a snake with poison skill around there. He told her he did encounter it, but he managed to survive by storing it in the bag, along with its poison. Keisuke asked Spell if that viper serpent is a tough opponent for her too. She replied, there's no way, and she's like 100 times stronger than that thing. Keisuke is reminded she is a demon lord after all. Then a thought comes across his head. She asked him what's up. He pointed out what she said about the poison of serpent being a skill, which means it could possibly work out for them. He wondered why he didn't think of something this simple earlier, but Spelvia was clueless about what he's saying. Keisuke wanted to directly show her the bag, and she showed concern for him, telling him not to push himself much. Keisuke is sure this time it will definitely work, as he activated store magic again and the holy bag started absorbing Spelvia within. He has figured out how to do it, and Spelvia also noticed she's moving for real this time. It was taking extreme toll on him to deal with the barrier, but even so, he didn't want to leave her behind and kept at it until he finally managed to absorb her while into the bag. Once the bag was closed, Keisuke was happy as he successfully stored Spelvia within the bag by simply storing the barrier instead of her, and she just got in along with it. The bag informed him that he successfully stored the absolute barrier, and also the demon lord Spelvia, which also gave him a couple of level ups. However, he doesn't see an end to these level up alerts as they keep repeating for dozens of times over and over again, until he gets tired of them, wondering just how many level ups did he get at once. It confirms that the greater the things he stores within the bag, the more levels he achieves. Once the level up was done, he wished he could block out that voice somehow, after which he uses appraisal on the bag and finds out its level has become 103, and he obtained new skills as well. Keisuke is astonished beyond measure at so many level ups, and he doesn't even know how this bag defines a great thing to store. It does sound pretty high level though, so he proceeds to check if Spelvia is fine first. The bag asks him if he would like to take out Spelvia. Keisuke, startled by that voice at first, agrees, and then a small black box comes out of it, saying something like, Monster Box. He wondered how he was supposed to open this thing to release Spelvia, and it just took him twisting the box a bit to open it and release Spelvia from the box. She really came out and he was really happy to see her. Spell was amazed as he really managed to break that barrier on her, and suddenly, tears starts coming out of her eyes on their own accord, and she can't help it, since after all it's been really long time for her here, all alone with no one else to talk to, nothing to eat, and no way to get out from centuries. She howled out extremely loud upon the amazement, and the raw strength of her howl was enough to create strong pressure in the atmosphere, strong enough to even break a lot of rocks in 100 meters radius. She was finally free, for which she can't help but thank him enough from the bottom of her heart. Keisuke welcomes her and expresses he's just, Spell is finally free. Spell declared she will be his familiar from now on, and no matter where and when he needs her help, she will back him up with all the knowledge, all the power of her claws, and guide him wherever he wishes. He told her she could be just his friend, but even if that's the case, she still swore to serve him and never leave his side, not even for a moment. She gave him a peck out of affection, and the next moment, she transformed herself into her human form, releasing extremely bright light around. And once she was done, Keisuke saw Spell looked like a sexy woman with fluffy ears and long hairs. He was caught off guard by her naked body, while Spell chuckled as she could finally take her human shape after all these years. He asked her why taking a human shape. She told him she can transform herself in whatever form will help serve him best. And the word serving makes him wonder just what kind of service she will give. Is it really the kind he's thinking of? He requested her to put on some clothes, and she doesn't need to serve him or anything, as it just sounds so lewd. Spelvia thinks that's the case. She should transform into a better form and turn herself into a small beast form, looking like a small pet. He had kept his eyes almost closed just in case, and when he saw her cute pet form, Keisuke was relieved a bit and liked how cute she had become with all that fluffy body of hers. He just can't help but sit down to caress her fluffy fur, and remarks that her fur looks even glossier than previously. Right then, Spelvia notices his hand was injured, and he recalled it happened when he punched the wall out of frustration earlier. She asked him to come with her, so he followed her all the way until he saw some crystals around the area with a spring in the center. Keisuke didn't expect a spring in a place like this. Then, Spell asked him to place his wound in the spring, and once he did that, his wound automatically healed instantly, which was nothing short of amazing, and he wanted to know what the hell is this water. Keisuke used appraisal on the water, and it is said to be Demon God's elixir, which can heal any wound or illness as long as he keeps drinking it. Keisuke summarized it's simply a powerful healing potion, and the source behind this water seems to be these glowing crystals. When he tried to touch one of them, Spell tried to stop him, but he still did, and the next instant that magic crystal exploded and shattered into small glittery pieces. He checked with appraisal and it said, "This is magic crystals, of the highest quality at that. And these are formed by crystallized magic over a long period of time. They are extremely fragile in their current state, which is unstable." And Spell explained the higher the quality of a magic crystal, the more fragile it becomes. And since the crystals here are formed by her own magic, they are definitely top-notch. So, she suggested he keep this demon god's elixir in the bag, and it'll be helpful in his journey. He figured she was right, considering they might need it later. But then he wondered if they could just take the entirety of mana crystals here, which would give them endless demon god's elixir. Spelvia remarked he's quite the greedy one, but warns him he'd be really lucky if he managed to store these crystals even 1 in 1,000 tries, since they are that fragile and hard to mine even with a high-tier mining skill. Keisuke can't try mining them physically in that case, so he thinks of trying to store them with the bag instead. So, he holds his bag directed at the crystals, making Spelvia curious about what he is planning to do. He told her to just keep watching, as he commanded the bag to store all the magic crystals here. The bag began releasing strong absorbing winds, and the crystals were really plucked out from the walls and rocks, then got absorbed within the bag altogether within a few seconds. Spelvia was amazed at this sight, while he received the notification that magic crystals and the demon god's elixir were stored. After his successful attempt, he tried to take out the crystal from the bag, and he really managed to hold it in his hand as he showed it to Spell. She was speechless at the limitations of his powers, as he could literally store anything like that, and the crystal didn't even break anymore when he touched it. She found it unbelievable. More so because this guy not only dispelled the absolute barrier, but also managed to stabilize the highest grade magic crystals so casually. She told him he's really amazing. Then he corrected her saying, it's actually the bag that's amazing. The stored demon god's elixir was put inside a black box within the bag, which should make it easier to carry around, after which they decided to keep moving further and depart for the exit of this hell. However, Spelvia picked up a magic reaction nearby. He asked her what that means. She replied it's one of her skills that allows her to sense magic, and it can detect the presence of magic and things imbued with it. Keisuke thought it's practically like a magic radar. Then he asked her more about things imbued with magic power. She said it could be anything, from humans to monsters or items. Keisuke jumped at the realization there could be monsters around, but she confirmed it's not actually a monster but something else. She took him all the way to the spot she sensed magic from, only to find out another hero's corpse with a cauldron in his hand. Keisuke didn't expect to see another hero, one that was also abandoned and thrown here like him in the past. Spell sensed a magic similar to Keisuke's from this corpse, which confirms this is indeed the corpse of a hero from the past. It makes him sad to see just how many of these heroes might have been thrown away. He asks Spell if she can sense more heroes out there like this. She replies, there are several of them she can sense. Then he asks her to tell him the location of all of them. Spell took him to all the heroes' corpses one by one, and in the end, Keisuke realized that besides him and Dagger Hero, there were a total of 5 heroes discarded just like them. Spell told him there could be more on the upper floors, since they are currently at the lowest level of the 7 layers of this dungeon, and this level alone has 250 floors. Keisuke is shocked to hear the sheer number of floors in this dungeon, which shocks him so much, obviously because none of the newbie heroes could have been able to cross all those floors alone. But when it comes to him, he might be able to make it out of here thanks to his reliable bag, a reliable friend, and also some reliable comrades, referring to the heroes he absorbed in the bag, which gave him their skills. So far, he acquired the hero's pot, with skills like cooking, absolute severance, and heating. And the next one was the hero's broom, hero's shoes, hero's needle, and lastly, the hero's mirror. Spell was intrigued when she heard Keisuke can also acquire abilities of the heroes he absorbed with the bag. Keisuke determines himself to make good use of the hero's holy weapons he acquired so far, and make it out of here with all of them. Spelvia wondered why those heroes were discarded like that, since they all should have some pretty amazing skills, but Keisuke honestly states that none of the heroes seemed that strong anyway. There was his bag, the needle, and the shoes, which don't seem to be helpful in combat if they just look at them on surface level. But he's sure there could have been a better use for them, because no skill in this world is supposed to be useless. So, that Queen Walujo or whatever was a total fool who judged everyone by their appearance. The more he thinks about her, the more terrible she seems to his eyes. Just then, Spelvia senses another magical reaction and tells him a monster is approaching them. Keisuke startles in shock, while Spell assures him not to worry, as that monster doesn't seem to have noticed them yet, and it doesn't seem to be much stronger either. Keisuke is amazed she can tell all that from this far away. Then he asks him what they should do now. Spelvia suggested she should just go and slay that monster in an instant, and that looked so cool and reliable of her. But on the other hand, he realized that he need to fight as well, because in this world he will eventually have to fight later. So he need to gain as much experience as possible. As they walked up to the location near the monster, Keisuke was feeling more nervous. Spell told him he didn't need to push himself to fight and could just leave it to her, his tamed beast. But Keisuke claimed to be fine, which made her give him a lecture on not to feel any shame and fear, and if he feels like it, he can be honest if he doesn't want to do it. Keisuke figures she can tell how he feels, but even if it's scary, he would like to fight here so he could get used to fighting and prepare for whatever comes at them in future. He is sure that with Spell here, there's no way anything could go wrong, and hearing this honestly softens her up. Now, Keisuke figures that jumping straight into combat will be scary, so he should try out a skill that works from a distance. Thus, he brought out the hero's pot since it seemed to have a ranged skill named Absolute Severance. For this fight, he decided to borrow the pot hero's skills. Then, Spell informed him just in case, that unlike unique skills, derived skills that he obtained from holy weapons can be used anytime, even if he doesn't hold them in hand all the time. He was impressed by her knowledge and felt thankful to have her here. He checks the Absolute Severance skill, and it states that he could cut anything within his line of sight. He plans on launching a ranged attack from here to hit the monster through the rocks and damage it before encountering it from close. He activates Absolute Severance and unleashes overpowered cutting winds, which literally sliced clean everything in the sight like butter, all the way in range of hundreds of meters, even cutting through the monster he was about to fight. Only the blood of that monster remained behind, along with the leveled-up field. Keisuke didn't expect everything to literally be shredded to nothing, and Spell told him that may have overdid it a bit. But Keisuke didn't mean for it to happen, and when he went closer to check out the monster, nothing of it remained except a pool of blood. This skill went way beyond just overpowered, as he couldn't even see the enemy before it ended. There's no way he can casually use this skill in the future, as it could prove to be dangerous even for himself. Thus, this tryout was a failure, and he intended to collect the monster's corpses neatly if possible. Spell asked him the reason behind it, to which he replied it's simply so that when they get back, he could sell the monster's corpses for money. He thinks it must be the case just like the fantasy novels where they trade in monster materials. Spelvia recalls that humans did indeed used to buy and sell the corpses of monsters, and he knew it must be like that. Right then, she sensed another magical reaction, and it was from another monster. She asked Keisuke if he'll be the one fighting this time, and he nodded that he did want to get used to his powers. Firstly, he decided to approach the monster slowly and confirm what it looks like, and once he got close enough, he decided to use the hero's mirror this time with the skill mirror sight, reflection, and illusion. Spelvia asked him if he could really use other holy weapons as well. Keisuke mentioned being told that he couldn't equip any other holy weapons but his own, but right now he could use more of them, probably because he stored them in the bag. She reasons it could also be possible for him to use them just because he stored the holy weapons together with the hero's remains. He thinks that could be the case as well, but in any case they need to focus on the enemy in front of them now. He activated the mirror sight, which sent a twin mirror like the one in his hand ahead in the air towards the top of the monster. Through this mirror, he was able to look at the monster lizard ahead without having to expose his own location. Spelvia said that's a black flame lizard, a giant fire-breathing lizard, and he was thankful for her knowledge. It's really helpful since appraisal will eventually have its limits. Spelvia was delighted to be praised by him, nagging her tail cutely in response. Now, she asked him how they are going to fight this time, to which he replied that since using Absolute Severance was way too dangerous. He would like to try another holy weapon this time. He took out the hero's needle, with skills like Sowing Supreme and Anesthetic Needles. He activated the skill Anesthetic Needle of SSS rank, which is supposed to make anyone pierced by it fall into deep slumber. Spelvia mentioned it was a powerful skill, but don't he need to get close to the target with this needle? Keisuke thought that's fine and just throwed the needle through the mirror, and it passed from this end of the mirror and came out through the other end for real. Spelvia was amazed by the skill, and he felt awesome to have such a helpful skill. The lizard, after getting pierced by the needle, immediately fell into a deep slumber and just died on the spot. Keisuke thought the monster must have been put to sleep now, but when he took out dagger and slowly went closer to it, he thought that thing was just asleep. But when he observed from up close now, he realized the black flame lizard was actually dead. Keisuke didn't expect the sleep effect of the needle to put the target to sleep forever. Spelvia told him it's his fault because he should have once checked the level of his holy weapon. Keisuke didn't think of it before, and now that he checked the level of the hero's bag, it's said to be of 124 level. It was a big jump from the last time he saw the bag at level 103. Then Spelvia explained to him that maximum effect of a skill depends on the user's level, which means that the power of all the skills he have is increased by a lot as well. So if he were to use any of his skill at full power, even sleeping effect could turn into instant death effect. Keisuke wondered when he leveled up, thinking, maybe it must have happened when he stored heroes and holy weapons. She mentioned a theory that maybe the levels of all the stored holy weapons are added to the bag's level, which seems easy enough to understand for him. But she points out it's actually a serious matter because, judging by the number of holy weapons he has, 7 of them, it means that his speed of leveling up has also increased to 7 times the normal speed. In other words, he is literally an OP bastard who will become stronger 7 times faster than his already OP growth. That is just amazing. And she has never heard of such a thing happening in history. It gave him an idea. What if he keeps wearing the hero shoes all the time will also keep giving him experience points? With these shoes, he could keep walking without getting tired ever and also be able to walk in the sky. Spelvia told him they look good on him. And now, since he managed to take down that monster cleanly anyway, he should dissect it with this hero dagger here. He went close to the lizard to do it, but then Spell immediately alerted him of more monsters in the nearby area. And there are lots of them this time. Keisuke was thankful she could sense monsters from afar, because if he were alone and had been dissecting the monster's corpse, he would be eaten by other monsters before he even noticed. He decided to just put the lizard away for now and run, but Spelvia informed him it's too late, as they are already surrounded. She feels ashamed to let these weaklings get so close around her. She's pissed off and wants to scatter them right away herself, but Keisuke stopped her saying if she were to fight them here, it could get bad with being busy with monsters while Keisuke would be left defenseless. They needed to hide somewhere, and when he looked at his bag, he decided to give it a try entering the bag himself. And to his surprise, the bag really teleported him to a safe area within it, and after they got inside the bag itself disappeared. Keisuke found himself falling into the bag further and further along with Spelvia, and soon they landed on a plain surface. It was Keisuke's first time witnessing the space inside the bag. After he escaped to this space inside the bag, he learned this place is called Garden, and it's all white and empty as far as the eyes can see. It took Keisuke a few moments until he finally understands that the Hero Bag's garden skill creates a space where only the user and those authorized by him can enter. Spelvia explained that's a total cheat skill because it's like carrying a whole safe zone around with him. He asks, but what is a safe zone? She explains. It's a zone where monsters cannot enter. Now that he thinks about it, it does sound like one, and it's amazing he will be able to escape to safety no matter where he is. Spelvia got frustrated and started rolling around, thinking if only she had such skills 1,000 years ago, she wouldn't have been sealed by that barrier. Keisuke can see she must have had a really hard time, and in any case, they have managed to hide from the monsters, so they should take a break now. Keisuke thought maybe he could continue dissecting the lizard monster from before, and the bag informed him he can use any of the stored items in the bag here. He just imagined it, and the lizard really showed up right before his eyes. Keisuke found it really convenient, and he tried summoning Hero's Pot as well to test it out. He then took out the dagger, and it also had the skill to dissect monsters, which could turn a monster's corpse into perfectly intact materials. He was very careful about it, and very slowly touched the lizard corpse with the dagger, and the next instant, it released some smoke, and the whole monster's body was perfectly dissected into all the parts as if he had undone some Lego or something. Keisuke had it easy with this dagger skill, and Spelvia checked to confirm none of the monster's parts were affected by the anesthetic needle either. Keisuke thought it was normal for tasks to be convenient with skills. Then Spelvia told him it takes an awful lot of time and effort to normally dissect a monster, so even this dissect skill was a total cheat, saving them up a lot of struggle. Keisuke thanked the great dagger hero for all the help from him, and she found it strange for him to be paying respect to the dead. Keisuke recalls his sister used to call him strange as well, and now he looks at the black flame lizard's corpse and wonders if it can be stored normally like other items. He just imagined it like usual, and all the dissected items were stored inside the bag, and he even got a list of the items stored in it. Spelvia points out he left some meat behind, and he told her that one was on purpose, as thought of trying to cook it with the hero's pot. But the idea of eating a monster didn't sit well with Spelvia, since she was a divine beast herself, and she told him monsters don't taste good either. She expressed her discontent at the taste of monsters' meat, but Keisuke really wanted to give it a try, since monster meat is also a fantasy item which was not there in his world. In the end, his curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to cook the monster meat anyway. Spell told him to just do as he pleased, while she would keep herself busy with the sweet buns. Keisuke brought out the hero's pot and planned on using the skill cooking supreme, which could make any dish as long as he got the ingredients in there. He decided to get some more ingredients from the bag's retrieval feature and got all the spices and sauces, along with some paper plates. The cooking part itself took him just 1 minute, and now it's time to dig in and have some monster meat. As he took the first bite, he totally fell in love with the wholesome taste of the delicious meat, and it was so delightful he could praise it with a long paragraph. Spelvia was starting to think of him as even more weird than before, while he just ate some more and asked Spell to check it out with him as well, assuring it's really tasty. She thought he was lying and claims she won't be deceived that easily, but he guaranteed it was the truth. But she knows there's no way a monster's meat could be tasty. Keisuke thought he can't force someone to eat food they don't like, but since he doesn't really have the budget to get unlimited supplies, he needs to switch to food locally present around them. He thought maybe she would take interest in it if the dish looked more tempting, and Spelvia got in high guard, knowing he seemed to be plotting something. Keisuke summoned vegetables to retrieve and put them in the pot along with meat and cooked them together. The finished dish gave off an exquisite aroma, but she tried her best to refrain herself, as the demon lord of arrogance, Spelvia, who would never stoop so low to eat monster meat. But the aroma eventually got the best of her, and she ended up taking a bite and howling out loud because that was damn too yummy. Keisuke was glad she liked it, so she asked him what kind of dish it was. She never imagined monster meat could taste this good. Then he proudly explained this dish is called curry rice. She loved it, and praised everything about the dish from its aroma to the unique taste she never experienced before. It was truly worthy of being called a masterpiece of flavor, and he was glad she liked it, and the very next moment she asked him for seconds. He teased her that she isn't against eating monster meat. She took back her words from before and just wanted to keep eating this meal cooked by him more and more. Keisuke thought it's really nice to have a delicious place in a safe zone like this. Then she told him she wanted more curry. He told her, no, she has already eaten plenty now, as she ate 2 whole pots full of rice curry. At this rate, it won't save any money this way either. But she begged him to let her have some more of it since she has gone centuries without food or drinks before meeting him. When she put it like that, he couldn't help it and ended up cooking more curry for her, but on the condition this will be the last one. She ate the curry while praising food from his world. It was really amazing. She could feel power surging through her body. While the food of this world is garbage compared to this, Keisuke thought she might be tasting it more than usual as well since she had been starving for so long. Although, he wonders if it's safe for her to go outside now. She asked him why don't he use the mirror to check the other side, which sounded like a good idea, and he activated the mirror sight, sending one side of the mirror outside. He saw there were many monsters outside, and it was a pack of wolves which hunted in groups by chasing their prey relentlessly. Keisuke wonders if they will leave if he just waits here, but Spelvia doesn't think so, as once those wolves find their tracks, they will keep chasing them forever with their strong noses. But he need not worry about it, since he got her, the demon lord Spelvia, here with him. He was excited and relieved as he remembers Spelvia is super strong as well, and she also wanted to exercise a bit after sitting idle for so many years. She told him to just watch from here while he heads out. Just in case, he asked her to be careful out there, but isn't worried at all, as she jumps out of the bag and shows up outside in her gigantic form. She emitted her aura of the demon lord in the whole place, but then she noticed that the wolves in the cave looked kind of small to her, making her wonder just what the heck is going on. Keisuke, on the other hand, was amazed. As to his eyes, she seemed to be overpowering the wolves so easily. Her huge size was reassuring to Keisuke, and if he looked at the black rock there, which was the same size as him, Spelvia was super large, like 15 meters more than his own size. He thought it must be a special skill exclusive to the demon lord, but Spelvia here was troubled herself, not sure what happened to her. But she can't show her weakness to Keisuke here, so she acted tough and stomped at some wolves here and there to scare the rest of them away. Keisuke thought of this sight similar to an elephant crushing an ant, leaving all the small wolves in fear of her and running away. Once the area was safe enough, Keisuke decided to come out of the bag like he went in there. Once outside, he quickly went to Spell to praise her for scaring off those wolves so easily. And troubled, she looked at him nervously while he kept complimenting her overwhelming aura. From close up, she was looking even more huge. But when she asked him what's going on here, Keisuke was left puzzled about what she was talking about. She said it's about her enormous body, because this is her first time being in such a state with this large body. Keisuke was shocked to hear that, while he honestly thought this was her combat form or something. She denied she doesn't possess an ability to grow this enormous like that in the first place, which leaves the question of what is happening to her. He tried to brainstorm if it could be some kind of abnormal status effect, in which case it might help if he used appraisal on her. He looked at her with appraisal, and it all looked like normal information about divine beast Fenrir, the demon lord of arrogance and all. Then she asked him to look further, as he should be able to see more than just that. He focused more on appraisal and noticed she was in a status of magic buff, stamina buff, and same for attack and magic power. They realized she really had a buff effect on her, and when she thought hard about it, she thought of something and asked Keisuke if it could be due to the dish they ate. She asked him to appraise the curry. Keisuke found out the dishes made by Hero Pot have buff effects, which just amazes him further, reminding him he was really in another world. Spelvia was amazed by effects as expected of the Hero Pot, and she had never heard of something this powerful with multiple effects at once. Moreover, she thinks that the fact he used multiple hero weapons must have increased the overall effects. So it brings both of them to the conclusion that they can't carelessly serve that food to someone, otherwise it could cause a big commotion. However, the fact that only can make something like it is also relieving, which leaves them with only one issue. What should Spelvia do with all this excessive magic power flowing through her body? Right then she couldn't control it anymore and started glowing. Keisuke asked her what's happening to her. She told him her magic power is going to rampage and there's an outburst coming. Keisuke got worried for her, but she immediately asked him to get inside the bag right now. He's not safe here. Keisuke heeded her call and went inside the bag, after which he used the mirror to see what's going on outside. Spelvia's whole body was emitting overflowing magic power, enough that just raw magic power could shake the whole floor. Just then, she felt like vomiting all the excessive power outside, and since keeping her head below could be dangerous, she somehow pushed herself to raise her head straight above, releasing all the magic power on the ceiling of dungeon floor, destroying the whole part of ceiling touched by the magic outburst, creating a big gaping hole through the floor. Even Keisuke could feel some of the pressure through the mirror sight, while the dungeon around that hole was blown away without any exception. Once she was done releasing all the excessive magic power, water began falling down to the lower floor from the upper ones, and Keisuke, ensuring his safety, came out of the bag and went to check how Spell is doing. Is she okay? He ran towards her with this worry in mind, only to find out she was actually feeling very healthy, as if she never felt such relief in her whole life. He told her she did good work, and she didn't expect that magic power to be that excessively strong. Although it was worth it since the food was tasty, Keisuke warns her they should be careful not to eat too much next time. She agrees with him on that, but still, she never imagined they would end up blowing away the dungeon ceiling like that, making their own exit in this cool way. Light was falling down from the upper floor as if it was natural, but Spelvia knows how abnormal it is, considering that a dungeon structure is something that isn't supposed to be destroyed by even Demon Lord's power. And here, they just did it just because Spelvia ate too much of Keisuke's eating, mixing the power of the hero and Demon Lords all together. Keisuke doubts it's his fault, but, well, what's done is done. No use worrying about it. And on the positive side, they can use this hole in the ceiling as a shortcut to exit the dungeon faster. With the help of hero boots, Keisuke walked in the sky and began walking above towards the hole. Once he got close enough to the dungeon's hole they just created, Keisuke was able to see the upper floor to this dungeon, which looked like a world full of volcanoes. Just one floor up made a huge difference in the whole atmosphere compared to previous floor, and moving on to the hole above this floor as well. He kept walking and walking, crossing through different climates like snowstorms, seas full of monsters, forests of wild dungeon mushrooms, places with rocky cliffs everywhere, and so on. The higher he climbed the floors, the smaller the hole was getting, and soon enough they reached a dark pitch-black layer, which looked quite a bit strange to them. Spelvia told him this is also a floor, but just dark. But after walking a bit, Spelvia quickly grew on alert when she noticed something behind them. He asked her if there's something over there she is wary of, only to find her stares alerted due to a mysterious prism-like object.